Paul Reed. Can Paul Reed become the Sixers version of Pascal Siakam? We'll touch on that and more on today's Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. Well, look, y'all, I just want to talk to y'all about my man, Paul Reed, P. Reed, B-Ball Paul. He has a lot of nicknames, deserves a lot of nicknames, a great role player for the 76ers. Now, the thing is, we talked to Paul Reed on Tuesday, and he was at the Boys and Girls Club of Chester, which was a pretty good event. This the Junior 76ers tour stop. And, he was asked a little bit about what Nick Nurse said to him. And he talked about how Nick Nurse sees him as a Pascal Siakam type. And when you hear that, initially, a lot of people are like, whoa, okay. And some were like taken aback. Some were like extremely excited about hearing that. And, when you look at Paul Reed, he's a 6'9", 227-pound backup center, undersized, but he's extremely athletic, a quality rim protector. He can, for his size, he's a good hustle guy, energy guy. But the thing about it is he's a guy who played power forward in college. He's a guy who played small forward in high school. So P. Reed, as I like to call him, is extremely athletic and talented. You look at Pascal Siakam, around 6'9", too. A guy who can play small ball center for the Toronto Raptors, excuse me. But in addition to that, he's a starting like power forward type, and he can guard multiple positions. He could play the three. He could do a lot of different things. So when you hear Paul Reed say the Sixers coach Nick Nurse, who was Pascal Siakam's coach the past 5 seasons in Toronto, head coach in Toronto, you're like, whoa, he's going to turn him into an all-star. So a lot of people are like excited. Other people's looking at the board like, come on, bro. You serious, bro? You gonna be Pascal Siakam, bro? I look at it as more or less they're going to try to take advantage of his athleticism, his versatility. You look at Chris Boucher, you look at other guys, 6'9", all these interchangeable guys that they had. And I feel like they look at Paul Reed in a similar mode. Seriously, they do. They look at Paul, they see what he can do, and when they say Pascal Siakam type, no, they're not saying we're going to turn you into an all-star. If that should happen, that would be welcome. But they're not like, hey, you're going to be this guy, you're going to be that. But what they're saying is you have the athleticism, you have the versatility. And what we're going to do is we're going to take you and put you in the right situations. And that's kind of similar to like why I kept saying I felt like Tobias Harris had the biggest upside of any player playing with Nick Nurse because 6'9", athletic power forward, can play the three, can do a lot of different things. So when you look at Paul Reed, he's kind of like a similar type of player, meaning he can play different positions, like Chris Boucher, like the other bigs that they had in Toronto. So when a lot of people were like, whoa, Paul's going to be an all-star, he's going to do this, or no, Paul, what are you talking about? That's blasphemy. No, what he is he's talking about the versatility and everything like that. And I get it. You know what I mean? I do. I get it. And Nick is right for saying that he could be that type of player. Now, is he going to be an all-star? Like I said, no, maybe not. You know, but at the same time, he can be that mold, and as far as a utility guy that's extremely versatile and do things like that, right? So you can't like I'm not gonna kill the dude, and like some people have been, and turn into clickbait and the whole nine. P. Reed is a great player, great role player, and I think that he's going to take a step forward in regards to all that. But I'm not making it like like some people have. Take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount and bonus bets up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's 200 you can spend betting everything from the money line to over under to who you think is going to get the first home run, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you can get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's number one sports book. So sign up today and visit fanduel.com/locked on to get $200 in bonus bets. That's fanduel.com/locked on. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. Thanks for listening to Locked On 76ers, making that your first listen of today. You know, every dayers. Tomorrow the show will be on let's PJ Tucker. Tomorrow's show will be on PJ Tucker. Now, here's my thing. I want to talk to y'all about DeAnthony Melton, right? I think that DeAnthony Melton, he impressed me last year. He did. Like I know he's a smaller guard. Um, in my opinion, I think D Melt is better coming off the bench. DeAnthony Melton, if you guys remember, some of you guys, the Sixers acquired DeAnthony Melton on draft night of 2022 from the Memphis Grizzlies for the Sixers' first round pick and Danny Green, right? And with D Melt came in as he's just supposed to be a 3-and-D guy, a guy who can be in the rotation with Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, just provide some depth, provide some defense. Well, he emerged to become a starter. A part-time starter. He had a stretch once when, because of Maxey and Harden's defense just wasn't there, like as a unit. You got two offensive-minded players who teams were just torching in the perimeter. So D Melt replaced Maxey for a stretch, and he played good. I think that it got some times where he played a little bit too many minutes at times. But for the most part, you got to argue that he probably was, outside of Harden, James Harden, all-star, 10-time all-star, this and that. He was their best acquisition of the other players. So, I think that he's going to take a step forward. I do. I think last year he had a solid year. There were some games where his lack of height on a defensive end was exposed, like against Jason Tatum at times and other guys. But he was one of the league's top steals, but one of the guys, one of the league leaders in steals. So, to me, he was phenomenal for what the Sixers needed. You saw some a depth chart that was leaked, where the Sixers had him in their starting lineup. They had him, Maxey, James Harden, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid in the starting lineup. Now, when I think of that, I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, I guess maybe right now that could be your best option if you take PJ Tucker, if you decide that PJ's no longer a starter. But the only thing is that's a small lineup. Now, Tobias, I do like Tobias at the 4. I do. In today's basketball, I think Tobias is a solid 4 who could kind of stretch the court a little bit and do certain things. But I just think that Melton maybe at the 3 or whatever. I just think that it's just an extremely small backcourt, a 3-guard offense. You know, I mean, James is 6'5", Melton might be 6'2", Maxey 6'2". Then you got Tobias, who's 6'8", 6'9", and then you have Joel Embiid, who's 7'2". But I just feel like that's a small one. But I mean, I'm really looking forward to what Melton's going to do this year. I think he's going to take a major step forward. I do. I think he's going to be phenomenal for the Sixers this year, and something that people can watch. Now, again, I do expect, because the reason why I think he's going to be better this year is because the first year was your first season of getting acclimated to your new teammates. And I felt like he felt in well. Now, again, it is a new coach, but at the same time, I feel like his timing with Maxey, his timing with Harden, if Harden stays, his timing with Joel, and you can go on Tobias, on and on. He knows what they want to do. Before, he was learning on the fly, and then he picked up and adjusted. But now it's like a point of taking what you learned last year and just like everything is instinctive now. Like, take it to the next level. So I think that he's going to do well. I really do. I really believe that this guy is going to have a great year and do the thing that everybody expects of him. I really do. Now, thank you for listening to for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. Every day is, like I said before, tomorrow's episode is going to be on PJ Tucker. Now, right now, when I the Sixers basketball, and you say, what does this team need? And Divine Givens and I, my co-host, we talked about this a lot, and I keep getting back to thinking that this team still needs a shooter. They need another shooter. That's what the Sixers need. They need another shooter. They need another shooter to stretch the floor. Because when you look at Maxey, and I get it, Maxey shot 43.4% last year from 3. Phenomenal. Melton, a good 3-point shooter. I mean, I think he had a game where he shot made 7 of them one game. Tobias Harris can shoot. Joel can shoot it. James, when he's inconsistent, but he can knock them down. I mean, he's one of the all-time leading shooters. But they need a specialist. They need a guy that's going to come in there and just bop, bop, like JJ Redick. You know what I mean? That type of guy. I think that when you look at it, it doesn't really wow you on paper. But when you look at it, Mo Bamba, to me, was a good pickup. Some people say they don't like his work ethic. They don't like this. They don't like that. But Mo Bamba, to me, was a good pickup. I feel like, I feel like Pat Bev was a good pickup for what you got. You got a minimum veteran guy, Mo Bamba, too, minimum salary. Veteran guy who, from a Pat Bev, who could come in there and be a leader and be disruptive and get underneath opposing players' skin. I think that's going to work out well for the Sixers. I do. So I'm looking forward to what it is now. Again, did they win and break headlines? No, they didn't. They didn't. But did they do what they had to do? Yeah. I mean, Paul Reed, to me, was their best off-season signing. Restricted free agent. They gave him a lot of money too, 23.5 mil. But he was their best offseason signing. So, I think, everything's going to work out. It should if they keep this core intact and people stay healthy. But I still think, and people might say I'm hating, but I still think this team has a second round ceiling. I do. I do. I just think that Boston and Milwaukee is just better, just like last year. But hey, we'll see. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. But for what they was willing to spend this offseason, I felt like they got two good additions. They just need a shooter. They need a designated shooter. Who knows? Furkan Korkmaz may step up, but I think they just need a designated shooter. Look, I want to thank y'all for listening. I want y'all to have a great day and enjoy this hump day. Peace.